Distance is more than space, it's freedom. The Nomad is built for long journeys, quiet jumps, open stars, and a living interior you can truly call home. A place to rest, to plan, to live between destinations. In the back, room for an ROC or a Geo, because exploration doesn't end when you touch down. It begins. No stations holding you back, no set path to follow, just you, your ship, and a new future waiting beyond the next jump. This is the Nomad. I just have to tell you something really awesome. Star Citizen ships have insane detail, and now you can finally bring that detail into the real world with a physical Scorpius model. It's made by PigeonSpacePort, the same officially licensed team that built the Retribution and Port All-Star installations for CitizenCon and Beacon. This isn't a cheap display piece. The Scorpius uses ABS as its primary material and is injection molded using custom tooling, giving it high-fidelity panel lines, crisp geometry, and functional wing articulation. It comes in 3 colorways, Avalanche, Stinger, and Standard, and includes full metal display base and collector's grade wooden packaging. Pre-orders also receive an exclusive numbered wooden stand. The final production model is on the way, and I'll have a full hands-on here soon. Pre-order now for free shipping, tax-free delivery, and use creator code Evenlease for an extra discount. Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the Consolidated Outlands Nomad. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review. Thank you, Cypher1, for joining me on today's review of the Nomad. This ship is considered a starter ship, but it does so much for you as a starter. It does have a little bit of a higher price tag because of what it can do, sitting at $80 on the Pledge Store if you were to go ahead and pick it up there, or you can get it at the city of Lorville for $1,512,000 aUEC. It does have a claim time of 3 minutes and 57 seconds with an expedited claim time of 1 minute and 19 seconds. I'd say that's pretty quick if you're asking me, allowing you to just very quickly set your spawn or grab a double dog, get a drink, whatever you need. Now, the pilot does have a pretty decent amount of burst damage per second, sitting at 1,637 due to the 3 size 3 CF337 Panthers. The pilot also has control over 8 size 2 Strike Force 2 missiles and a remote tractor beam on the rear, which is also size 1. I'm going to say right now to remove those lasers as soon as you can. While CF337 Panthers are still an okay weapon, they take up way too much power pip on a machine that already has no power to begin with. I'm going to tell you right now, this ship has terrible power management, and it's recommended immediately to upgrade as quickly as you can your power management system. Here in a moment, I'll show you the best build that I believe you can make, as well as a budget build to help you with this ship and its power as well as its weapons. Now, taking a look, you do have 3,960 bubble shield with the stock shield generators. That comes with an 8.3% physical resistance and a minus 23.4% energy damage resistance. as well as an 81.6 distortion damage resistance, which means distortion weapons really aren't going to do anything to your ship unless those shields comes down, but they do take a heck of a amount of damage from laser weapons, as they should. Now you also have 2,880 ship armor with minus 15% physical damage and plus 30% energy damage. Again, energy weapons will zap away your shield and your armor, allowing the physical damage to be even greater to your ship, so something to be very careful about. You do have 9,800 ship HP, which is spread 5,200 on the nose and 4,000 on the body, which combines, of course, to 9,200 overall on the body itself. And then you have a top SCM speed of 205 with a 450 forward boost, a 230 backwards boost, and a 1,100 nav speed. You have a pitch yaw roll of 45, 45, 120, and a boosted 54, 54, 144. Honestly, it's not that great. The maneuverability of this ship, it feels a bit heavy for what it is. She's a small craft, but she can do quite a bit for you. So let's actually talk about what can this ship do for you. Well, you do have a cargo ramp on the back, which can have a variety of uses, from carrying a GO and some cargo, from carrying only cargo, from carrying an ROC, as well as a multitude of other ground vehicles. This thing has a good amount of stuff that you can do. It's really good at going from A to B, bunker running around doing some smaller mining things, and just allowing you to explore the verse in the comfort of a CO style vessel with their interior, which is almost like an Argo craft, honestly. It almost looks like it on the interior, but it is quite beautiful, which we'll take a look at here in just a second. You do have 48 flares and 5 decoys, as normal across the board, and then you have 32.8 SCU of hydrogen fuel, as well as 1.3 SCU of quantum fuel, which is sadly not a lot. You would think there would be a lot more to this craft because it has an interior, it has the ability to go the distance, and it's even called the Nomad. Now you also have 24 SCU of cargo grid on that rear ramp, which actually has 2 access points. You have one on the rear exterior, which can lower that grid as well as bring it back up. And then you have one on the interior, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, this ship does have a penetration physical damage reduction of 30%, a penetration energy damage reduction of 50%, a penetration fuse damage reduction of 30%, and a penetration component reduction of 60%. So out there, it's going to be doing okay, but you have to remember, this thing is not meant to take damage. It's not meant to go out there and dogfight. I'd keep away from any sort of PvP situations. You can definitely do PvE dogfighting and missions, but just be careful about how high up the chain you go in that, because too many crafts or too big of crafts, and it's going to be a problem for you, even with the 3 size 3 guns that you have. You do amount to the same damage of a Gladius, but you don't have the maneuverability or the speed of a Gladius, so you have to be very careful about what fights you pick. Now, we're going to take a look at the interior here, but before we do, let's just see. This thing has one entry point right here. This is a ladder system, and then here is your cargo grid, so when you're using that, you can bring it on up and down just using this button here. So go ahead and hit that button, load everything back up into the ship, and you are good to go. As you can see, there is the tractor beam placement right there, and it can lift anything that you need to get in and out of this vehicle. You cannot put 32 SCU containers on here. You can put 8s, and you can do 2 boxes of 8 on one side, so it's a pretty decent amount of cargo space up there. So let's go ahead and make our way up this ladder here really quick and just show you the interior of the Nomad, including the component placement, as well as discussing what components you want to have on this ship. Now, when you first enter this craft, you will be greeted by 2 weapon lockers, one on the left and one on the right, where you can place 2 rifles. You can't place any handguns or any sort of tractor beams here, which is honestly too bad. And then if you continue forward into the ship, to your left is an armor locker, which currently you can't do anything with. Even if you open the door, you can't place anything in here. There's like a clear wall or something. I tried to put stuff in here, did not work, which is too bad. Turn around, you have yourself a bathroom right here, which is nice. You can go ahead and use the toilet to take care of business and everything. I don't see a shower or anything though, so you're going to be getting quite stinky on your journeys in the Nomad as a Nomad. Now, if you turn around, you do have another area that can open and close your cargo grid. You go ahead and hit that button. It'll bring it on on down. You can even witness it through the window here, this very sneaky window, and that's pretty nice. And then over here is some of your components. So let's talk about these initial components here. You do have your power supply and your jump drive as well as quantum drive right here in this location. The initial power supply on this ship is just absolutely terrible. You don't have any good power management with it, as you can see on screen, and it's not good, right? This ship comes stock with some pretty miserable components, from 3 size 1 Webb civilian grade C shield generators, not giving you too much shield strength. The charge times and everything are pretty awful. And then your coolers are the ultra flow industrial grade A coolers, which you would think are good, but they're taking a lot of power requirement for what they do, and you don't even need that much cooling generation. So you can back those down considerably, which I'm going to talk about here in just a second. So I went through this ship and I kind of touched each component to see how well it was to get these components out. And that's another thing, is it does have a complicated component placement, because when you pull some of these out, it's really hard to either get them back in, or it's like it falls right through the floor and ends up outside, like with the power supply, as you can see. And that is quite tricky, because depending on where you're at or what you're doing, that could mean life or death if you try to pull your power supply out, and now you have to EVA out of the ship to get it if you're in space, and if you're under attack, that just would not be good. Now, that's where those are. So it's pretty decently placed on the exterior of the ship. And then if you make your way through this door right here, you know, take a look around. It's pretty nice, pretty good looking interior. Gotta love it. You do have your living space, which is beautifully decorated, by the way. Very good set dressing all around. You have a fire extinguisher right here next to this plant. You have yourself the bed with a nice area. You have storage. You can go ahead and open that up, which comes with a good amount of capacity for storing. And then if you go ahead and lay into the, well, I'm going to sit down first, I guess, instead of laying, because that's what I wanted to do. Now, if you go ahead and hit lay down, you'll lay down, and it's a nice, comfortable prison mattress. You only got about an inch or two of mattress underneath you, which is honestly too bad. And then you can go ahead and log out from here, and you are good to go. Now, across the room, you do have a nice little seat that you can pull out and sit down and enjoy a nice meal. You have a nice kitchen area, and then if you look directly above you, this is where all the rest of your components are located. So you go ahead and open these up, and you have your 2 coolers right here, and you have your 3 shield generators right here, which, interestingly enough, this is a very, interesting place to put everything, because a good strafe on the top roof of your vessel, and there's a good chance you're going to lose every one of these components. So something to consider there as well. And then if you make your way through the next door, you go ahead and open that up. This is the pilot seat. There's nothing special in this room. It just looks pretty decent. You go ahead and make your way into the pilot seat. It's going to turn you around, and we'll take a look out the cockpit here. It's a pretty decent view. Honestly, you have a lot of good view here all the way around. Quite a few struts. It almost feels like an RSI style vessel. And then all your MFDs are just laid out on this nice wide Kia looking flat screen here, and then you have your MFDs right here in front of you. So it's pretty interesting indeed. And this ship has an injection seat, so something you wouldn't expect in a ship of this size. It does actually have an ejection seat, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and give you my score on this ship. She is quite an interesting vessel, and for under $100, if you're buying on the Pledge store as a starter ship, it definitely does a lot out there in the verse. You have 3 good sized weapons. You do have a good amount of cargo space, 24 SCU of cargo on that grid, or you can transport a mining vehicle on the ground, or a walker of any sort. It's a pretty good amount of stuff. It's a great A to B ship. Her maneuverability is poor. Her power management is absolutely poor. She has a great looking interior. No engineering console, by the way, which is honestly too bad when you have all these engineering aspects, but no console for it. And then you're down to 1 entrance with the ladder, which a lot of times is quite interestingly buggy and stuff. But not because you can't get in or out, but to other people's perspective, it just looks like you're hovering, you're walking through a wall, all these kind of things. It's quite funny. Overall, I'd say she's a pretty decent ship. I would give her a pretty good score as a starter ship. I'm sitting here at an 86 out of 100, just because of her capabilities, right? She does have full components pass. She does have the ability to store cargo. Her maneuverability is poor. Her speed is okay. She has good firepower, terrible power management, so it drops the score down a little bit there. But let's talk about those components really quick. What is a good component build and what is a good budget build. So a good component build would be 3 FR66 mil grade A shields, 1 JS 300 mil grade A power supply, 2 Galeed civilian grade A coolers. And the reason I've chose those is because it will take away some of the power requirement on your coolers and give you more power for other things like shields, engines, weapons, stuff like that, without dropping you too far, and you still have a pretty good health pool on those coolers. So that would be my recommendation, and it drops your EM down a bit too. So if you go with anything mil grade or anything high spec, you're going to be having a heavy power requirement, and then you're also going to have a high EM rating, but you do have a little bit more health if you go with the higher grade spec. And then you have 1 Atlas civilian grade A quantum drive. That's the one I would go with as well, because it does have great distance, but a lot lower EM, and just overall doesn't use as much fuel as some of your top drives out there. So that would be the high grade spec that I would be going for, honestly. And then if I was to go with like a budget build, I would just do things that are available on the store itself inside. So for shields, I go with the 7 SA Concords, the civilian grade A's, and put those all throughout the ship for shielding. They're not bad. They come with a good amount of pool HP. Their HP itself on the shield generator isn't bad. It's a great shield, honestly, if you're asking me. And then if you look for the power plant, just go with the Breton. The Breton will do everything you need to do for max generation and power. And then again, for the coolers, just go with the Galeed civilian grade A's and your Atlas civilian grade A quantum drive. That would be a good budget build without having to go out there and find all these components out on the ground or in special locations. Let me know what you think of the Consolidated Outlands Nomad down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. You guys are all truly amazing, and I hope you had a good, happy, weekend. It's now coming into the holiday season, so let's have a great week. And of course, I'll see you all out there in the next one. If you're building a new PC, go through longshipindustries.com, a veteran-owned mom-and-pop business that takes pride in every single build. He built my personal rig, which you can actually see featured on the website. The care, warranty, and customer support are top tier. Trust Longship Industries for your next build.